America is sick. Studies indicate that this could be the first generation in U.S. history that lives less than its parents. Can you believe that? According to research that is documented in the documentary Forks Over Knives, 40% of Americans today are obese. That's 40%. 50% are taking at least one prescription drug. And 1 out of 3 people today will develop diabetes. Research shows that a diet high in animal-based and high processed foods make people sick and overweight. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure are all based diseases that cost this country more than $120 billion each year. But many of these sicknesses can be prevented. How do you say? They can even be halted or often reversed by eating a whole food, plant-based or vegan diet. You are all young now, so why should you care? For the same reason I care, to save your life and the planet's life. 2 out of 3 of us are overweight. Cases of diabetes are exploding, especially among our younger population. Major medical operations have become routine, helping to drive healthcare costs to astronomical levels. Heart disease, cancer, stroke, and the country's 3rd leading causes of death, even though billions are spent each year to battle these very conditions. Millions suffer from a host of other degenerative diseases. Could it be there's a single solution to all of these problems, and a solution so comprehensive but so straightforward that it's mind-blowing that more of us haven't taken it seriously? Would you make the change if you could? There has been stark changes to the average American diet over the past 100 years. This chart outlines some of these primary changes. So this shows a significant increase in the meat, dairy, and processed sugar consumed. So if you look here, these are the dietary changes in the U.S., the average pounds consumed per year, the meat, dairy, processed sugar. The blue on the left is the early 1900s, and the red is the 2000s. So you can see meat went from 100 pounds per person to over 200 pounds per person in that amount of time. Next, the dairy went from just under 300 to doubling to 600 times 600% doubled. Processed sugar also went up. So you can see these stark changes. So some of the correlations between this change in diet consumption and the health problems include prostate cancer now is the #1 type of cancer in males. The U.S. has nearly 3 times the cancer rate as the rest of the world. That's 3 times the rest of the world. Type 2 diabetes has become so common that 1 in 3 born will develop this disease. Over 2,000 years ago, Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." You see, even after all of these science and facts presented, if you still don't believe that a plant-based diet is best for your health, there is a lot of evidence it is the best thing for the earth. So another reason to eat a plant-based diet is that animal food production is the world's leading cause of climate change. That's right. Forget carbon belching buses or power plants. Animal food production now surpasses both transportation industry and electricity generated as the greatest source of greenhouse gases. Amazingly, if Americans could just cut back on animal foods by half, the effect on the greenhouse gas emissions would be like garaging all U.S. motor vehicles for as long as we keep our consumption down. There's no sustainable way to raise animal foods to meet the world's growing demand. 2 acres of rainforest are cleared each minute. That's 2 acres of rainforest are cleared each minute to raise cattle or crops to feed them. 35,000 million of American rivers are polluted with animal waste. 35,000 miles of American rivers are polluted with animal waste. Do you understand that? We're watching a real-time head-on collision between the world's huge demand for animal food and the reality of scarce resources. It takes dozens of times more water and 5 times more land to produce animal protein and equal amounts of plant protein. What's a person to do? Vote with your pocketbook. If you're concerned about health risks, environment damage, or healthcare costs, you can take action immediately. Make a choice to buy less meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, or better yet, give them up completely. It's one of the most powerful things you can do. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Bill Maher, who poignantly stated that someone needs to stand up and say that the answer is not another pill. The answer is spinach. So please make the decision to save your life and the planet's today and become a vegan. Thank you.